Hello, ladies and gentlemen, children of God. Welcome to day 66 of our Bible reading challenge, or what we call the BRC. And if you are watching, that is if you are watching on TikTok, if you're watching on YouTube, this should be episode 99 for you. And we continue with our journey through the wilderness with the children of Israel. And as I said, now we are at the tail end of the book of Numbers, because today we'll be reading Numbers 28, Numbers 29, and Numbers 30. So we are progressively moving towards finishing this book. And we are at that stage where I say the book of Numbers is divided, or can be divided, into three major parts. And the first part is about the first census, and then the second part is about the journey, the 40-year journey, and the challenges that the children of Israel, go through in the wilderness. Then the third part covers the second census, because there are two censuses that happened in the wilderness under Moses. So the third part covers the second census, and also preparation to getting into the promised land. We see in this section, we see Miriam dying, we see Aaron dying, and also we see Moses being prepared, and we left it at the point where Moses has been told now to what do we call that? I'm looking for the name that they use in corporate. It's like, preparing the person for the job. He's now being told to prepare orientation. That is the word I was looking for. Orientation. Now we see Moses being told, or being asked by God, to orient Joshua to take over after him. And that is where we are. So today we'll be continuing from Numbers 28, and we'll read 28, 29, and 30. And the disclaimer still stands, ladies and gentlemen, that this may not be a short video, and this also is not for entertainment. But I thank God for every person that follows it, follows the journey. If you're watching in 2026 when this is being recorded, or you are watching in 2027, 2028, or even later, I pray that the blessing of the Lord will rest upon you. The good thing about having these records is that this is now eternal, unless maybe the laws of internet change, like they did on Facebook. They changed and say that videos, or live videos will not, that will be pulled down after 30 days. So unless now the laws change later, I don't know if they will change, but unless they change, this will be here forever. So I'm recording it in 2026, but someone may view it in 2050. I said some other day that someone may even watch it even after I'm dead, and they will benefit from it. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful to God for giving me the courage and the ability and the will to do this, not just for now, but even for posterity. So let's continue reading. So if you're following this journey, God bless you so much. Those that have followed within this, or because of this, God bless you so much. Those that have subscribed on YouTube because of this, God bless you so much. And I've had reports that this may not give me followers and subscribers, but we push on regardless. So we continue reading Numbers chapter number 28 and verse 1. The Bible says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, and say unto them, My offering, my bread for my sacrifices, made by fire for a sweet savour unto me, shall ye observe to offer unto me in the due season. And thou shalt say unto them, This is the offering made by fire, which ye shall offer unto the Lord, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, day by day, for a continual burnt offering. The one lamb shalt thou offer in the morning, and the other lamb shalt thou offer at even. And a 10th part of an ephah of flour for a meat offering, mingled with the 4th part of an hin of beaten oil. It is a continual burnt offering which was ordained in Mount Sinai for a sweet savour, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord. I spoke this on my radio program. I usually have a radio program in the US every Thursday, and I was saying that there is, the children of Israel were offering sacrifices every day. Every day there was a sacrifice to be offered, in the morning and in the evening. Okay, so it was not just, the priests were not just sitting idle in the tabernacle. There was no idle time, because there was this mandatory sacrifices that should be offered in the morning and in the evening. And then there were different people. Imagine managing over 600,000. The last time we counted, we saw 601,700 people. 601,700 men. And that is, those are men that could go to war. Okay, so we have not counted women, we have not counted children, we have not counted old men. So these are well-able men that could fight, 601,000. So if you add the others, it would come to at least, or somewhere very close to 2 million. Okay, so imagine managing those people, and men are to error. Even right now, every man is to error. So there is someone that feels that I need to offer sacrifice, because there were personal sacrifices that you would offer for your own sins, for your own trespasses, for your own transgressions. And so the priests were very, very busy. Okay, and this also meant that the priests, which were a big company, I think we counted like 2,000 or 20,000 or thereabout. I can't remember the number, but we counted a great number. The tribe of Levi. The tribe of Levi was big. It was big. So to feed them, because they did not have farms, they did not have lands, they did not have their own animals, and so the children of Israel had to feed them. And so God had to create a system that, because they were supposed to eat a part of the sacrifice. So if the sacrifices are not there, and they were not supposed to eat sacrifices or parts of sacrifices that were more than 3 days old. Actually, on the third day, if the part that remained was still available, it was supposed to be thrown away. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So God had to create a system where there was a continuous supply. One, for him as God, and two, for the people that are serving him. And it worked. It worked. Ladies and gentlemen, it worked, because when God asks you to do something, he also provides a way through. Now, where are we? Verse number 7. And the drink offering thereof shall be the fourth part of an hin for the one lamb, and in the holy place shalt thou cause the strong wine to be poured unto the Lord for a drink offering. Verse number 8. And the lamb shalt thou offer at even, as the meat offering of the morning, and as the drink offering thereof. Thou shalt offer it a sacrifice made by fire of a sweet savour unto the Lord. Verse 9 says, and on the Sabbath day 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil, and the drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering. So on Sabbath also there would be like 3 offerings, because now there are an extra, or 4, because there are now an extra 2 lambs and that were supposed to be offered on the Sabbath day. Verse 11 says, and in the evening and in the beginnings of your months ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot, and 3/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for 1 bullock, and 2/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for 1 ram, and a 7/10 deal and a several tenth deal of flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, and 1 lamb for a burnt offering of a sweet savour, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord. Verse 14 says, and the drink offering shall be half an hin of wine unto a bullock, and a third part of an hin unto a ram, and a fourth part of an hin unto a lamb. This is the burnt offering of every month throughout the month of the year, and 1 kid of the goat for a sin offering unto the Lord shall be offered beside the continual of burnt offering and his drink offering. When I'm reading this, I'm always drawn back to our congregations nowadays. The current congregations that we have in our churches. I hear people complaining that churches are asking for too much. You hear people saying things like there is too much giving, the pastor is asking a lot. And I've even had people shift churches because maybe one church is asking them to give so many times. And but when you look at this, ladies and gentlemen, this church led by Prophet Moses, it was giving. Every day they were giving. On the Sabbath day, they would give twice the number. Every first day of the month, they would give another offering, and so on and so forth. And we have not finished. We are still continuing to read. Verse 16 says, and in the 14th day of the first month, it is the Passover of the Lord. And in the 14th day of this month is the feast. 7 days shall unleavened bread be eaten. In the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no manner of severe work therein. Verse 19 says, but ye shall offer a sacrifice, another one, made by fire, for a burnt offering unto the Lord, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, and 7 lambs and of the first year. They shall be unto you without blemish. And their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil. 3/10 deals shall ye offer for a bullock, and 2/10 deals for a ram. And verse 21 says, a several tenth deal shalt thou offer for every lamb throughout the 7 lambs, and 1 goat for a sin offering to make an atonement for you. Ye shall offer this besides, or you shall offer this beside the burnt offering in the morning, which is for a continual burnt offering. So even as you are giving these other offerings, you are not excused from the morning and the evening offering. Okay, that must go on every day of your lives, every day. Now, verse 24 says, after this manner ye shall offer daily throughout the 7 days the meat of the sacrifice made by fire of a sweet savour unto the Lord. It shall be offered beside the continual offering, burnt offering, and his drink offering. Verse 25 says, and on the 7th day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. Verse 26, also in the day of the first fruits, when ye bring in new meat offering unto the Lord after your weeks be out, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work, but ye shall offer the burnt offering for a sweet savour unto the Lord, 2 young bullocks, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year. Verse 28 says, and the meat offering of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deals unto 1 bullock, 2/10 deals unto 1 ram. Verse 29 says, a several 10 deals unto 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs. Number 30 says, and 1 kid of the goats to make an atonement for you. Verse 31, which is the last verse of Numbers 28, says, ye shall offer them beside the continual burnt offering and his meat offering. They shall be unto you without blemish, and their drink offerings. Why is God consistently insisting that they shall be offered beside? It is because humans are always looking for the easy way out. And so if it is left open, it is possible that someone will say, because we are offering this sacrifice, then I think we don't need to offer the morning and the evening sacrifice. No. The Lord says you offer the morning and the evening sacrifices, and then you also do these other special sacrifices. You understand me? Now, Numbers 29 verse 1, the Bible says, and in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpet unto you. And ye shall offer a burnt offering for a sweet savour unto the Lord, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year without blemish. I want to repeat something that I said a few times or a few days ago when we were talking about Sabbaths. One of the things that God did, even from the beginning when he created Adam, was introduce Sabbath, because man was not created to work. Man was created to worship God. So God wanted man to live in Sabbath, not for it to be one day in which he gets in and gets out. No, but because of the sin and man, punishment was for him to work. Now God introduced a day called Sabbath for them to have a foretaste or to have a taste of what Sabbath really looked like. And so this is why when God calls the children of Israel out of Egypt, or when he brings them out of Egypt, he actually insists a lot on Sabbaths. And there are so many. It's not just a day. We have even Sabbath years, where a whole year the people were not supposed to work. They were supposed to just wait on God. Why? Because the idea of God when creating man was not for him to labor. It was for him to worship him, and in the midst of that worship, for God to supply to all his needs. And when Jesus comes, as we shall read as we continue with this journey, he says, come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I will give you Sabbath. When you are in Jesus, you are supposed to live in Sabbath, not to enter it one day and then come out and go continue working. And this is not to say that you will not work for a living, but this is a state of mind where you trust in God more than you trust in your job. You trust in God more than you trust in your salary. You trust in God more than such that if God was to tell you to choose between your work and serving him, you would not think twice. You would not say, give me a minute. You would rush and say, I will serve you, because I know it is not my salary that feeds me. It is not my work that feeds me. It is you that feeds me. That is the kind of mentality that God wanted men to have. So this is not an encouragement to leave your work. This is not an encouragement to go and resign now. No. It is to tell you that even as you work in the corporate world, even as you are in the marketplace, you have an understanding that this is just to keep me busy. This is just, to keep me active. But the real provider is God. My goodness, I wish I could preach on this. Verse 3 says, and their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 deals of a bullock, and 2/10 deals of a ram, and 1/10 deal for one lamb, throughout the 7 lambs, and 1 kid of the goat for a sin offering, to an atonement for you. Verse 6 says, beside the burnt offering of the month, and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering, and his meat offering, and their drink offerings, according unto their manner, for a sweet savour, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord. Verse 7 says, and ye shall have on the 10th day of this 7th month an holy convocation, and ye shall afflict your souls, ye shall not do any work therein. You see, the insisting of not working. Don't work, trust in me, I will provide for you. Trust in me, I am your provider. I am Jehovah Jireh. Okay. Verse 8 says, but ye shall offer a burnt offering unto the Lord for a sweet savour, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year. They shall be unto you without blemish, and their meat offering shall be of your flour mingled with oil, 3 tenth deals for a bullock and 2 tenth deals to 1 ram. Verse 10 says, a several tenth deal for 1 lamb, and throughout the 7 lambs, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, beside the sin offering of the atonement, and the continued burnt offering, and the meat offering of it, and the drink offerings. Now verse 12 says, and on the 15th day of the 7th month ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work, and ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. And ye shall offer a burnt offering, a sacrifice made by fire of a sweet savour unto the Lord therein, unto the Lord 13 young bullocks, 2 rams, and 14 lambs of the first year. They shall be without blemish. Verse 14 says, and their meat offering shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3 tenth deals unto every bullock of the 13 bullocks, 2 tenth deals to each ram of the 2 rams. And verse 15 says, and a several tenth deal to each lamb of the 14 lambs. And verse 16 says, and 1 kid of the goat for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering, his meat offering, and his drink offering. You see, God is insisting that even as you are doing this, you are not supposed to neglect the others. Okay, we are in verse 17 now. And on the 2nd day ye shall offer 12 young bullocks, 2 rams, 14 lambs of the first year without spot, and their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullocks, for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner. And 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, beside the continual offering and the meat offering thereof, and their drink offerings. Verse 20 says, and on the 3rd day 11 bullocks, 2 rams, 14 lambs of the first year without blemish, and their meat offering and their drink offerings, and for the bullocks, for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner. And 1 young goat for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering, and his meat offering, and his drink offering. And on the 4th day, so we are coming from the 3rd day. I think I said 13th, but it is the 3rd day. Now we are on the 4th day. 10 bullocks. This is verse 23. And on the 10th, verse 23 says of Numbers 29. And on the 4th day, 10 bullocks, 2 rams, and 14 lambs of the first year without blemish. Their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullocks, for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their numbers after the manner. And 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering, his meat offering, and his drink offering. Verse 26. And on the 5th day 9 bullocks, 2 rams, and 14 lambs of the first year without spot, and their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullocks, for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner. Verse 28. And 1 goat for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering, and his meat offering, and his drink offering. Verse 29. And on the 6th day 8 bullocks, 2 rams, and 14 lambs of the first year without blemish, and their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullocks, and for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner. And 1 goat for a sin offering, beside the continual burnt offering, his meat offering, and his drink offering. Verse 32 says, and on the 7th day 7 bullocks, 2 rams, and 14 lambs of the first year without blemish, and their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullocks, for the rams, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner, and one goat for a sin offering beside the continual burnt offering, his meat offering and his drink offering. Verse 35, on the 8th day ye shall have a solemn assembly, ye shall do no servile work therein. So this should tell you that Sabbaths were not only for the 7th day. You see, this verse 35 tells us that on the 8th day ye shall have a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. So this is also another Sabbath, on the 8th day. So those who insist on the 7th day, I think we need to read our Bible more. Anyway, I'm not here to attack anybody, but let's continue reading. Verse 36, but ye shall offer, but this is the reason why I'm saying this, is to insist that if this was actually to prepare us for Jesus Christ, and the Sabbath that Jesus Christ was to give to those who believe in him, the Sabbath that is every day, not just the 7th day. The 7th day was just to be a taste of what Sabbath is. Now, after Jesus comes, who is the fulfillment of the law, now he gives us the full Sabbath, as Adam had. You know, Adam lived in Sabbath before the fall. The fall is what brought Adam out of Sabbath. Anyway, so Jesus now takes us back to Sabbath, where every day of your life is a Sabbath. Now, verse 37 says the meat offering. Let's take it from that verse 36 so that it can make sense. But ye shall offer. Let's take it from that 35. On the 8th day, ye shall have a solemn assembly, ye shall do no servile work therein. Verse 36 says, but ye shall offer a burnt offering, a sacrifice made by fire, as is a vow unto the Lord, 1 bullock, 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without blemish. Verse 37 says, their meat offering and their drink offerings for the bullock, for the ram, and for the lambs shall be according to their number after the manner, and 1 goat for a sin offering beside the continual burnt offering, and his meat offering and his drink offering. Verse 39 says, these things ye shall do unto the Lord in your set feasts, beside your vows and your free will offerings, for your burnt offerings, and for your meat offerings, and for your drink offerings, and for your peace offerings. Verse 40. But before we read verse 40, which is the last verse of Numbers 29, you have seen all the offerings that the children of Israel were supposed to be giving. I can say them again. We have your vows, then you have your free will offering, where you just feel like, I just need to give God an offering. Then you have a burnt offering, then you have a meat offering, then you have a drink offering, and then you have a peace offering. Let's count them: vow, free will, burnt, meat, drink, and peace. I think there are 6 of them. I think we had counted them some few episodes ago. Verse 40 says, which is the last verse of Numbers 29, that and Moses told the children of Israel according to all that the Lord commanded them. Let's go to Numbers 30. Verse 1 says, Numbers 30 verse 1 says, and Moses spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, this is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she hath bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand. But if her father disallow her in the day that he heareth not any of her vows or of her bonds wherewith she hath bound her soul shall stand, and the Lord shall forgive her, because her father disallowed her. So this is about vowing. If a girl, a young woman who is not yet married, vowed, and her father hears her saying it, and then the father says, you cannot say that, you cannot take that vow was quashed, was quashed there and then. But if a man, a man child, a young man, or even any man vowed, then the vow stood and nobody could reverse it, and the man had to keep the vow. Verse 6 says, and if she had at all an husband when she vowed or uttered aught out of her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband had it, and held his peace at her in the day that he had it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband disallowed her on the day that he had it, then he shall make her vow, then he shall make her vow which she vowed, and that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, or of none effect, and the Lord shall forgive her. Another one, a wife could not make a vow that the husband had not allowed. So if these vows we are talking about is when you promise God something, you say, God, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. If the husband says, no, you will not do it, then God will just forgive the woman. Okay? Now, verse 9 talks about widows now. But every vow of a widow and of her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls, shall stand against her. And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband had it, and held his peace at her, and disallowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband had utterly made them void in the day he had them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband hath made them void, and the Lord shall forgive her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void. There's so much I can teach from this. Man, about marriages, about, Anyway, let's continue and finish this. I see my time is running out. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to start teaching about marriage right now. But if her husband altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he establisheth all her vows and all her bonds which are upon her. He confirmeth them, because he held his peace at her in the day that he had them. Verse 15 says, but if he shall any way make them void after he had them, then he shall bear her iniquity. Verse 16, which is the last verse of Numbers 30, and our last verse for today, says, these are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth, in her father's house. Ladies and gentlemen, children of God, that is where we finish our reading for today, our day 66 and episode 99. Is it 99 or 98? I have already forgotten. But that is where we finish it today. Until you hear again from me tomorrow, on that very high note, that very joyous note, we put a comma until tomorrow. Until you hear from me again tomorrow, may God bless you. May God keep you. May God lift you higher than I am. And until tomorrow, shalom. And keep the faith.